Guess who we have here? A very special guest, besides all of you. And we have Steve Wozniak, and the co-founder of Alan Mulally. And we're so glad that Steve is here, because Steve just epitomizes everything that Ford's been about for this 110 years. Safe and efficient transportation, enabling technology, innovation, making people's lives better and more efficient and more effective. And so Steve's going to be with us. He's going to be one of our main participants. And so Steve, we're really glad you're here. And if you'd like to say a couple words, we'd love to.
Sure, yeah. Very nice to be here. I love the theme, opening the roadways to all mankind. And, I always think of Ford as very much a middle-level type car. It's not some high-end, costly, fancy sports car. And building devices for everyone. When we were starting personal computers, it was possible for hobbyists who knew chips to solder them together and make their own kind of guts of a computer at home. Maybe even get it up to the point with input-output that was so expensive to type in programs and run things and do new things. Well, we started talking in clubs about what it was going to mean to people, not what kind of technology meant what when it was certain speeds or how much of a computer you had. It was how it was going to affect your life. And it was going to open up streams of communication. We thought that communicating with 100 people by typing a message in, 100 people in 1 hour, was a huge number back then. And now we've got the internet, so it's instantaneous. But communication, education, children weren't going to do homework, go to school the next day, and then find out their answer is right or wrong 24 hours later. They were going to get told right away. And if you take psychology, you know that reward and punishment, it has to be effective and immediate. But more than anything else, the normal average person, especially starting with the young people that knew computers and liked them, we would take our own computers into our work, our government, our work where we had huge $1 million machines and high-paid programming gurus, and we'd type in the financial numbers of our company and spit out the better answers much quicker with our own little machines, with the software written by our 10-year-old kids. What a vision that was. So it was these social goals. The social revolution is really what pushed me in my efforts, and Steve Jobs, to come up with the technology that would make it possible. What it boiled down to more than anything else was cost efficiency. You can always kind of come up with dreams of what a beautiful device would be, and back then, if you had thought of something like today's iPhone, it would have been crazy and unbelievable if we could ever get there. But it was really finding the formulas to design things efficiently as engineers and build them at effective costs that matched almost everyone's budget. I look at the history of computers, and pretty much we changed the inputs and the outputs. That's been the most costly part from day one. It used to be you had to buy a terminal to type on that cost as much as a car or 2 cars. And that kept the normal person from wanting a computer. What can it do for me that is worth as much as a car? And basically it was finding the formulas. You have a television at home and it's free. And keyboards are just about $60, sort of in that affordable range, much more in today's dollars. So input and output was the stress. Every time we made improvements in our technology, from the generation before, you'd look and say, where are the inputs and the outputs to this computer intelligence inside? With huge amounts of software grew. But now we've got earphones and microphones and GPS and sensors for movement and motion and stuff like that. So we've built many more things that are almost like human senses in. But I think about today's cars. And today's cars have so many more sensors going to little chips that are making decisions on the fly, and they're controlling output devices, little motors for carburation mixes or raising the window and running everything has gone electronic now. So the car almost has more of a wider system than our computers and our smart mobile devices do. But one of the things was these social goals were opening up the world to computers, finding out the way to make it an affordable cost. And I think that's the main thing that Ford really has to deal with, and really all the car companies, is coming up with the formulas that match a market. Yes, we have some exotic high-end electric cars, but so far it seems the only successful one is one that's designed as a luxury car for people where the money is a lot less restricted. I think the future of automobiles heading towards, are we going to make this a transition to EV? You know, and all my life I've been an electronic engineer. I wanted to get rid of hard disks with spinning metal atoms and motors because it was mechanical. I wanted to get rid of big mechanical faceplates with switches like the old computers. I wanted to make everything possible electronic, and I would love cars to be all electronic. But as we heard, you know, it's the cost of the batteries. If the batteries, you know, are $40,000, would you rather have $40,000 of helpful radar monitoring all the cars around you and helping you drive, you know, maybe even driverless someday? But we're on a path. And the path is going towards that driverless car and probably towards an electronic car. And it's important to find the business models and the models that will make these more efficient, more generous, less polluting technologies like the electric car work. But as was stated, the production of energy is always a part of the formula. If you're polluting by creating electricity, you can't get rid of that. The amount of dollars you spend on electricity is the amount of pollution. We've got to change how we generate electricity. Yes, coal is kind of disdained, but as long as it's efficient, we can't seem to get around it. We've got to get a real strong foot on it and say, maybe I'll have a little bit less in my life, but I really want to put in, I'll make some sacrifices in how much money I have to spend, whatever, to have cleaner skies. You know, California, San Francisco are well known in this area. You know, we've got to really keep looking for the future. Some people say wind, solar power, converted electricity, it's really not doable with the amount of space we have, the amount of wind we have, and land space on Earth today. So we might have to consider other alternatives in the future. Thank you.
Steve, thanks a lot. Thank you.